I forgot to say this yesterday, but we're a year 2 flower farm. And I'm about to show you the good, the bad, the ugly that happened on our farm so far. And this is February 17th. So take a look. Okay, well, it is February 17th. And been busy today. I have started some seeds, and they're in the workshop in the seed starting station. And I planted out some Rudbeckia and cut a whole bunch of snapdragons back because guess what? Apparently something is wrong with my snapdragons. So let's back this train up. Let me see if I can walk and talk, because I'm going to take you out here and I'm going to show you. So the other day, a friend of mine sent me a reel, and the reel talked about spraying your flowers with molasses, and it helped keep the bugs away. Now, it's way more in depth than that, but in the reel, it linked Jennie Love's No-Till podcast as to why to do this. So basically, in a very short explanation, you obviously water down the molasses, and it's really a soil drench, and the molasses feeds the soil, which then in turn feeds the plants and increases their photosynthesis, which increases the sugar in the plants, which then causes the bugs not to want to eat your plants, because there's a measurement called a Brix measurement, and if anything above certain measurements, but definitely, oh my gosh, I want to say a 12, the bugs can smell it and they don't want to eat your plants. Short version of that. So I was like, cool, I'm going to do this. And so I went and got some molasses, and I came out here, and then I realized as I was doing this, my plants did not look very good. And it's only February. So anyway, I was wanting to do a soil drench to start getting my soil fed, and I figured if I started early, it would help the soil. I also put down I wanted to put down some nitrogen and help the soil as well, so I used a feather meal. I did test my soil at the beginning of the season, phosphorus, potassium, all that's good, just needed nitrogen. So I didn't want to do a fish emulsion, because in the podcast I was listening to, it's bad to listen to podcasts, they were also talking about in the same Jennie Love no-till, which I had noticed before, you do the fish emulsion and it brings on aphids. And my anemones, which is what I wanted to feed, are prone to aphids. So I didn't want to do that. So I got this feather meal, which is a powder. And so I figured I'd put down the powder, water it in with this molasses. So I came out to do that, all excited. And then I was super bummed and in a really bad mood because my anemones looked good. My snapdragons looked bad. Especially the bigger ones that I overwintered. So many of the stems were like going this way and up and around, and they were curly and they were falling over, and they looked horrible. I mean, they're green and everything, but they're not going to be usable stems because they're all curly. I mean, when you put a stem in a bouquet, you need it up straight and looking good. And these stems are looking terrible. I started thinking today, as I was planning out the Rudbeckia, I decided, you know what? I'm just going to cut them all. I'm going to cut them back, cut all the wonky stems, because I can't use them anyways, and just see what happens. I mean, it's February. So I did that, and now the row looks really thin, and I cut a ton. So I didn't pinch my snapdragons when I planted them out. If you don't know, when you plant out snapdragons, you pinch them, and then that gives you more stems, unless you just want one tall straight stem. Well, I wait until they start growing, and that's usually more towards March, to pinch them, but sometimes they're already growing several stems because the cold has pinched them and whatnot. And these did have several stems on them already because there were a lot of stems and they were all wonky and carrying on. So I just went ahead and cut everything that was not straight. And some of them, I mean, I just about had to cut them down to the ground. And there were already new little plants coming up at the ground anyways. And after I show you this, I am going to show you what the stems look like. And I'm hoping that maybe somebody on here, and comment below please, can tell me maybe what is going on. I think my best guess is that we have had a ton of rain, and when it's raining, I do put the covers over on the rows because we don't have the lightweight. We have a little bit thicker, and I can't tell you, it's Agrabah and it's thicker, and it does let some water through, but not as much as the lightweight. So it does help some with the water getting through to the rows. But that being said, I mean, it's raining a ton. It's going to get all in the aisles, and it's going to soak up in there. So, I mean, I know it's still getting wet, but I was just trying my best to help it not get totally saturated. But it still got plenty wet. So, let me turn you around. Okay, first of all, yep, look at what I did. I know. And here's the thing. This is my thought process. So, I mean, I may have killed them all. I don't know. But these were unusable stems anyways. Well, I didn't get that quite out. Okay, this is what's been happening. And on most of the stems that were bent over, that's what I'm finding. Look at this. So, please, someone comment as to why this is happening. But see, this is what I'm talking about, a wonky stem. So obviously, this is in the ground, and this is how it looks. So these are not straight stems. The top one's all bent over, all the rest are bent over. The bottom looks like this. And then I just cut it as far down as I could to get to like a new, typically I could get to a good, see if it'll focus. Sorry. It's not focusing. There we go. Nope. There we go. Typically I could get to a good new stem at the bottom. So here are all my wonky snapdragons, and here are all my cold, pinched to death snapdragons. Side note, I found a video from February 5th that shows the snapdragons. Check that out. Okay, that being said, the snapdragons are looking pretty good. Don't want to make you dizzy. Obviously, the taller ones were planted before the smaller ones down there. This one, I pinched way back to that. Some of them had stems that look like this. But, I don't know, I might be able to find the video. But if you've seen my past videos, this was all full. And even here, I don't know, I thought about even cutting that way back. But do you see this stem? I mean, this one's still kind of wonky right there. These, I cut way back, you can see, because they were as tall as the rest of these. But if you can see here, there are some that have a lot of new shoots coming up from the bottom. Now, if you know anything about snapdragons, here's the thing. For cut flower snapdragons, you plant your snapdragon, and if you don't pinch it, you have one really tall straight stem, which is great. If you do pinch it, then you have more stems, but the stems are shorter. Typically still usable in a bouquet, but they're shorter. And so what I'm worried about is because some of these had already branched, and so there wasn't just one tall stem. So I'm really worried that because I had to cut them back so far and all the things, that noise you hear is Bob over there. He is putting in a fence post. That's how hard our ground is. I'm worried that these stems are not going to even be long enough for bouquets because I had to cut so much back. All right, so we go from the tall ones to these shorter ones. Started in September. And so they were probably planted at the end of September. And then these, the shorter ones, were started October 10th. And they were planted probably the 1st of November. So, and then when they were planted, they were small. And now I'm thinking maybe it's better to be small and go through the winter. So really, I'm trying to find a good one and have one straight tall stem like that. But see, even some of these, see, you can tell that they've already done some branching just by themselves. Because when they get cold and then like through the winter and whatnot, the top kind of just gets pinched out by the cold and then they start to branch. I was really counting on my snapdragons to get me, like they were going to be my first flowers. They're so pretty. They're great in bouquets. That's what I was counting on for my, well, I guess I really can't say my first flowers. We've got tulips. That's the first flower. And then anemones. But then after that, snapdragons are so prolific. They get you start, I don't know, Mother's Day. Sometimes you can have them for Mother's Day and then onward for a long time. And they're just so prolific. They can keep going and going and going. So there's that. I have another patch of snapdragons right there. I did start another tray of snapdragons. Probably, I don't have 100% germination, which I never do with snapdragons. So probably about 20 plants. They're just little teeny tiny babies right now. And so I'll plant those out. I don't know how they'll do. We'll just have to see about that. And then also my Scabiosa. I was super excited about my Scabiosa. It was all looking good. And then when I came out that day and saw all this trouble with my snapdragons, I looked over here and I've had a lot of die out on my Scabiosa. Again, I think it was wet feet. I know that you need really good drainage, which, I mean, we have, our rows are mounded, and last year the drainage was fine. But again, last year we did not have all the rain that we've had this year. And just a couple weeks ago when I came out here, the Scabiosa looked great. Came out here 2 days ago, looking terrible. I'll show you. These rows were all full. Now I have patches. I cleaned these out. These were just black, dead plants. Like, there you go. A lot in here that died out. And a lot in here that died out. This patch looking pretty decent. And then some in here. And then, since I'm showing you my garden fails, which I've definitely had a lot of garden fails. Again, I was super upset. Okay, so look at all the beautiful Rudbeckia I started. It was looking really nice. You can't see any, can you? Nope, pretty much killed all that too. I'm hoping, you see a little bit of green? Yep, I'm hoping that one will come back. This, dead. Maybe that'll come back. Maybe these will come back. Maybe, I have a few. Maybe those will. But basically, most of this is dead Rudbeckia. Luckily, my dianthus is looking pretty good. And all of this is dianthus. This is all looking pretty good. These are some bachelor buttons, and they don't look so good. That's okay though. I don't really care about that. I have some down there that look good in the lower garden. Feverfew. I think it looks okay. We have some spots, but I see a lot of green growth in the middle, so I'm okay with that. All right, let's go on to something that so far, knock on wood, is looking pretty decent. Look, we have a flower. First anemone. I got an anemone, and we have a couple more coming up. All the anemones, when they first come up, are short, so I'll just let these bloom a little, and then I'm going to cut them. So I've got several, like this one's about to, and this one's about to, and then there's a couple more. So the anemones are starting to bloom, which makes me really happy. I didn't kill them, knock on wood. And so they're doing pretty good. I would like to see more foliage. So again, that's why I was trying to feed them. That's what got me started, listening to the podcast and thinking, what could I use to feed them? Came out here and found the other stuff dead. All right, onward to our little Godicia, little baby Godicia. I at least see some growth on those. If you can see that, those top little leaves, new growth on that. They're tiny, but at least they're growing. So I'll take what I can get these days. Told y'all. People were like, oh, you do so well, you can garden, yada yada. Not so much these days, killing a lot of stuff. All right, so here's my other patch of the smaller snapdragons that were planted out in November. I definitely have several that died out in here, but overall, those are looking good. And then this is the Godicia. That I thought was doing well, but is not. This is also several places dying out there. Some of it seems to be coming back, but anyway, that's fall planted Godicia. Status. That is still holding on. And we have some dill. This is actually bouquet dill, and that is still holding on. And then we have some more Godicia, and that's looking pretty decent. There's actually a couple of sunballs mixed in there that haven't died. This used to be all sunballs, and that all died. Then I planted the Godicia. Here is some Anemones. I think this is Ordara. I'd have to look. And then more Godicia in here. This used to be Orlea. I only have 2 plants of Orlea left. So I put the Godicia in here. And then more Godicia. Obviously, I like Godicia. And then 2 dill over here and some bee balm over here. So I'm hoping this will take off. I planted sunball last year and again this year. Both times it died out. I don't think I'll be planting that again. But I had already started the Godicia and put that in, and that seems to be growing pretty well. Again, it's February, so things grow really slowly. So just so I see new growth, happy with that, just so things aren't dying. Just really concerned about my snapdragons. But I will not know until the weather changes and everything starts to grow and I see if we have baby stems or decent stems. All right, now we're going to go to the lower garden. We're going to see what's down there. That so far, well, the snapdragons, no, not snapdragons, stock. I planted some stock down there. It did terrible. And yesterday when I was down there, I planted out some cerinthy, which is a foliage. I threw leaves over the stock and just decided I was killing it because it looked terrible. So I purposely killed the stock, but it looked terrible anyway. It was not looking good. And let me show you the tulips. Super excited about the tulips. Those should be the first ones. First flowers, I mean. So, try not to trip as I'm walking out here. But we had to put this little fence around them. We took up the chicken wire because they were coming up. But check out the tulips. Ta-da! Look at the tulips. This variety is the slowest to come up. But look at all the tulips. Super excited. This is our contraption. Bob made this little fence. This is to keep out the geese. Typically, we don't have deer coming through here, but this is what we have. Those bad boys, they eat our plants. Even one year, they kept eating my sweet peas. And sweet peas, the whole plant is supposed to be poisonous. Didn't kill them, nope. They kept eating it. But they would get in here and eat all of this. So, this is, and typically I think this will deter them. I don't think, obviously they can fly. I don't think they're going to fly up and get in there. This is usually enough to deter them. And if they do get in here, well, we won't have a video of what happens to them. All right, here is the lower garden. Right here. We still have the eucalyptus hooped and covered just because we like to try and keep that as warm as possible. Here are the sweet peas. I planted out all these sweet peas and they're looking really well. They have been sitting in pots outside all winter. I didn't expect that I'd have much problems with them. We gave them something nice to climb on. And then this is all my direct seeded stuff. This is Buplurum. It's all looking good. This is my little teeny tiny patch of Bells of Ireland. I didn't have much seed when I planted this out. So here you go. Note to self, have more seed. But I just thought I'd try it just to see. And so now I know that I can direct seed it. So more will happen next year. And then these are my bachelor buttons. So that's why I wasn't too concerned that the ones up there didn't do so well. And then down there, Nigella. So this bed's looking really nice. That was all direct seeded in the fall. I did that in November. And then I have larkspur. And look at this. It's getting ready to flower. I feel like that's early for larkspur. But I don't really know because I've never grown larkspur before. And then the rest of this was direct seeded poppies. I had poppies and giant poppies. The giant poppies were doing well for a while, but I also killed them. So I put in, I had some Godicia that didn't fit up in the upper garden. So put it in here. It's doing okay. If you saw my other video, actually I don't know if I've posted it. I forgot. Anyway, this little dead thing, if it's even focusing, is a different kind of Godicia. And most of those have died out. But the other Godicia, that's more of like a woody stem Godicia. This kind right here, this is doing really well. The other is called Elegant Salmon. Apparently it doesn't like me and it's not doing too well. That's okay, but this Scabiosa is doing well. And then I planted, this is new, I planted out Cerinthy. This is a foliage. And I hate to say it because every time I say this, then things are dying on me. But Cerinthy, I'm super excited about because it looks to be a really pretty foliage. And I actually started these in the small blocker, but then I had to bump them up really quickly because the seed was actually too big for the small blocker when I soil block. But I was like, I'm going to try it. And then like within 2 days, once it germinated, it really needed a bigger block. So I had to bump it up to a bigger block. And then when they're ready to go out, as you can tell, they're a great size. So, and then as you can see down here, I have 2, maybe 3, 4 giant poppy pods. We'll see how they do. They might still die on me. But at least all the Cerinthy's doing well. So far, so good. It's only been 2 days. As you know, lately I'm a plant killer. And then over there, where the stakes are, this is where stock was. Let's see if I've killed it yet. We can uncover. Oh, there it is. See what it looks like? It was looking terrible. See them? I'm going to laugh if they actually make it. But I decided they looked terrible. And so I was going to kill them. And there they go. Underneath all of the leaves to die. So this is my volunteer anemone. This was a corm that just didn't get pulled up. It got mixed around in the dirt. I mean, this dirt, I don't even know where it was because these are new rows. And all of a sudden, this anemone came up and we just left it. And we've done nothing to it, nothing. So now I'm considering, should I overwinter my anemones instead of pulling them up and discarding them? Because look how good this one looks. It looks better than any of the anemones up there that I just planted. So maybe I need to turn my anemones into perennials. I don't know. Might be worth a try because look at this thing. So this has been my test one. I think I thought this one was one too. And if it is, that's a terrible one. So I don't know. Maybe some are good to overwinter and some are not. But this one is really nice. And if you see right there, it's got a flower coming up as well. So here we are with a test anemone in our future sunflower rows. See Bob? See Bob working on future garden plans over here. So today I actually started some jalapeno peppers, sweet peppers, and lettuce because lettuce can go out when it's cold. Oh, hold on. I have to show you this. Look at Toby. He's like, I put my ball, he puts it under the fence and he sits there and stares at it because he's like, please come over here and play ball with me. I left the ball there for you. Yes, he's obsessed. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. She's coming. She's coming. She's going to throw me the ball. Oh my goodness. Can she actually do it? Nice. And then I decided to try my hand at a few other things. Well, I've already started some coleus. I think that's how you say it. I did that last year and I really liked it. Because, you know, if you can start seeds, why buy from Lowe's? So that's just for pots. And I started lemongrass, which I like to have. You can use it to cook with, but you can also, it's supposed to help with keeping mosquitoes away and such. So I put it in pots in my back porch. So I started that, got some of that going. And then I have one heirloom mum that I overwintered, and I started getting that going, and I want to take cuttings from that. So propagate those out so I can have more mums for the fall. So I have 2 cuttings that I've rooted so far from that. And then today I have, vinca. I also started some vinca, some raspberry vinca. The collis and the vinca I got from Baker Creek. I like to try to get unusual things because, I mean, why not if you're going to start them? So those look to be fun. And then from Swallowtail Gardens, I believe. I can put it in the notes. I got some geranium seeds. So I started 2 different types of geranium. And, oh gosh, what is it called? Begonia. Begonias do really well for me in pots. So I started some begonia, but again, I get tired of just the kinds at Lowe's. So I started some different kinds of begonia, apricot and different things like that. So I started some of those. Never have started begonia or geranium. So we shall see if those actually grow. And, I started some Anemones just because that out there died. So we'll see how that goes. These are my 2 mums that I have rooted from the mother plant. Just 2 so far because I didn't have much growth. And then here are the little baby lemongrass starts. I've already bumped those up. I just started them in the 3/4 inch block as well. But then I felt like they needed to be bumped up a little bit. And I went ahead and put them in big pots because I know that from last year when I did it, I put them in bigger soil blocks and then I ended up having to put them in these. So I just thought, well, we're just going to skip all that and put them right into here because I really can't plant those out for a couple months and they're just going to keep on growing. So that's why they're in here. Here are my 2 mother plants that I have growing. I need to let those shoots get a little bit longer before I can take cuttings again and try to propagate some more. And then I've got these are calendula. These are going in pots too. These bloom really early and I thought again they'd be pretty out by the farm stand, so I have those going. And then here are my eucalyptus. Again, super slow growers, you know. And these eucalyptus I started way back in November. So, but they're still alive, they're still growing. And those will be planted out after, probably in April, something like that. So, that's what we've got going on so far in the hoop house. And this is where I'm going to start. You know, I'm going to put my sunflowers in here so that I can hopefully have sunflowers for Mother's Day. So we'll see about that. These are the vinca. As you can tell, didn't have great germination, but I mean, that's enough. I don't need a ton. These are just for pots, so wasn't too worried about that. The collis, look at there. Pretty decent germination on those. And then back there, back there, we've got 2 trays of snapdragons. 2 of these trays. See, don't have great germination. I think I at least have 20 or more plants to fill in all my dead, or I wouldn't say dead, but you know, my snapdragon problem. We already discussed that. And then the rest here are geraniums. Oh, I did start some more Scabiosa. I forgot about that. I started more Scabiosa here. Here are, I put peppers and lettuce together on this tray. This is the Anemones. And then here are begonia and geranium, because they only came, however many that is, was all the seeds I had. So I just took some off, and then more begonia. Oh, I forgot, this is oregano. I ordered an ornamental oregano, which I thought would be really pretty foliage, since a lot of my foliage out there has died. So that's what else I've got going on in here. So there you go on that. Again, it was just an update on what's going on around here. We are a year 2 flower farm and trying to make a go of it. We'll see how it goes. I am super excited about the year, but now I'm a little nervous because of the snapdragons. Like, I really wanted to have a bang up start, but I don't know. I mean, we'll just see. I was really counting on the snapdragons. But again, I mean, I'm going to start with tulips and anemones, so hopefully all that goes well. And if anybody knows what's wrong with my snapdragons, let me know. And I'll keep listening to podcasts, throwing stuff at the garden, seeing if that works. We try to be as natural as possible. So that's why I was using the molasses and the feather meal and that kind of stuff, and listening to no-till, and just really trying to get my soil really healthy. I do really think that is key, just to have really healthy soil, and then your plants are going to be really healthy. And then the bug pressure will kind of even itself out. I mean, you're always going to have bugs. They're going to eat your plants, and you just kind of have to know that some of your plants are going to die from the bugs. And then other than that, hopefully you can save the rest. So hopefully it's all going to go well, and I won't kill too many more plants. But just know that just because you grow pretty flowers doesn't mean you really have a great green thumb. It just means that you kill some, and then you just start more, and when you kill those, you start more. You just keep trying. So you can do it too. If I can do it, you can do it. But my snapdragons,